Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news. And as always, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. Erik ten Hag remains as Manchester United manager. The international break is nearly over. We're coming to the end of the games. We're expecting the majority of players to be back by Wednesday or Thursday at the latest. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. However, the rumour mill continues around Erik ten Hag and who potentially could be his replacement if he is to be sacked by Ineos. How important are the next group of games for Erik ten Hag up until the next international break, basically? We'll break that down as well. We're going to talk about Jim Ratcliffe's radical plan in relation to the future of Manchester United around signing players. And I think basically what it means is that regardless of who the manager is going to be, we're going to need to have some patience more than anything else. We're going to talk a little bit about buyback clauses from players that already have played for Manchester United that we got rid of. United being linked with a couple of them. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit as well about contract extensions, triggering that 1 year option that United tend to have in the majority of their players' deals. We'll talk a little bit about the players that affects. And there's been reports suggesting that Manchester United are looking to part ways with a couple of players in January. We'll discuss that as well, guys. And of course, then we'll give you updates on injuries in relation to the game on the weekend. New chair is here. I'm trying to make sure I've got the height adjusted perfectly. Yeah, new chair is here. Thank God. Nice and comfy. Smash a like on that video, guys. We've had a week off. Obviously, it's international break. And I've had a nightmare of a week, to be honest with you. The two kids got hand, foot, and mouth. The gearbox went in the car. It was just a nightmare. And my team got knocked out of the All-Ireland as well, the FAI Junior Cup. So, yeah. Delighted to be back, though. Delighted to be back. Smash a like in the video. Subscribe if you're new. And we'll jump straight into it, as always, guys. Anybody watching on TikTok, guys, we are live over on YouTube as well. We've got all of these articles on the screen. So if you want to come over and get involved, the link is on my homepage. Come on over, hit subscribe on YouTube, and we'll jump straight into it. Anyway, let's jump straight into it, guys. Erik ten Hag is back at Carrington today and preparing for the game on the weekend against Brentford, as expected. You know, no real changes there, and obviously we got the news or lack thereof news after the last game and heading into the international break that, look, Erik ten Hag is going to be in situ for the next group of games by the looks of things. Now, look, that it all depends on how the upcoming results go, determining how long that will actually continue for. Look, I think, personally, let's get it out of the way. I think he's probably going to be there up until the next international break at a minimum. And look, when we're talking about United and we're talking about the fixtures coming up for us, they are favourable fixtures. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves or anything, but because we have had winnable games, obviously before this international break that we didn't go and win. But when you look at it, we've got Brentford at home next, Fenerbahce away, West Ham away. We've then got Leicester City in the League Cup. We've got Chelsea at home to PAOK, at home to Leicester, and then away to Ipswich. You know what I mean? So, sorry, Ipswich is after the next international break. So favourable enough games, you would say, coming up for Erik ten Hag. However, that doesn't mean that the circus that is Manchester United doesn't roll on. Now, been reported today by Simon Stone that ten Hag is due back in Carrington today to begin preparations for Saturday's game against Brentford. And obviously, look, not all of the players are on international duty. So, players are training, obviously, while they're not away on international. I think some have got a little bit of a break, but some players, trying to come back from injury and so on and so forth, are back training as well. Now, obviously, we know that there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of rumors in relation to, is Erik ten Hag going to keep his job? Is he going to be the Manchester United manager? And for how long? And the same name keeps popping up and has been popping up for a long time. We're going to talk a little bit about this before we move on to other things. And it's in relation to Thomas Tuchel. Supposedly today, Manchester United, it's been reported, are back in contact with Thomas Tuchel as pressure mounts on Erik ten Hag. So, look, we know Manchester United spoke with Thomas Tuchel in the summer, and we know that, he's highly admired by Jim Ratcliffe, if not everybody else. And I think, look, I think he, of all the names that are being touted there, he's probably got the most experience of any of them going in terms of, an established name. He's managed in the Premier League. He's won leagues, in France, in Germany. He's won the European Cup with Chelsea. He's got the CV to be Manchester United manager if the case arises. But again, we fall back onto the same kind of argument about Thomas Tuchel, is that what kind of control would he be willing to give up coming in as Manchester United manager? We know the new structure there at United with Ineos and with Erik, or with Jim Ratcliffe, in relation to, it's a committee now, and it's not Thomas Tuchel is in charge of who he wants to sign. And I think that's something that he's not overly in favor of doing. And I've been thinking about this. A lot of people are saying, and I said it in the past as well, that he can be very confrontational with his employers. But when you look at it over the span of his managerial career, I mean, he got sacked out of Chelsea by what can only be described as one of the worst owners in Premier League history, when all of the Chelsea fans were calling for him to stay. He was let go from Bayern Munich, and then Bayern Munich actually reversed their decision and actually wanted him to come back, and he refused. So it's not all negative in terms of Thomas Tuchel. And I mean, if you're talking about established managers, he is certainly the I suppose the most recognized one there. Now, there has been a number of different reports coming out in relation to other names over the last few days, and we'll fly down through them really quick. And the easiest way of doing it is this article that I seen today. The odds if Erik ten Hag is to get sacked and who will take over. Now, to be honest with you, a lot of these options for me, I mean, I think it's probably time for Erik ten Hag to I think eventually he will be moved on. But, I will stand by what I said before. Whoever is going to be the manager of Manchester United, I'll support while they are the manager. I might not, I might think there could be someone better to do the job, but while they're in situ, they will get my support. But anyway, favourites with Sky Bet is Ruud van Nistelrooy. Now, look, we spoke about Ruud van Nistelrooy an awful lot over the last couple of weeks, since the pressure started to mount on Erik ten Hag. And I done a TikTok today. There's only 4 teams across the top 5 leagues in Europe that have scored less goals than Manchester United. So we're in the bottom 5 teams in all of Europe's top 5 leagues for goals scored this season. And Ruud van Nistelrooy is one of the greatest strikers to ever play for Manchester United. So, there is an argument there around, well, what would Ruud van Nistelrooy really do? You know what I mean? If he was to come in. And now, look, I know as an assistant manager, he's not completely in charge, and he's not, picking the team, and he's not setting tactics and formations and so on and so forth. But our strikers are not scoring goals. You know what I mean? They're just not scoring goals. And even, when you look at some of the, and again, stats are only stats. The eye test doesn't lie either. But the last couple of weeks, up until the last couple of weeks at least, we've been, in terms of expected goals, have been up there with the likes of Man City and Liverpool and so on and so forth in the league, but we're not finishing our chances. And if you're bringing in the likes of Ruud van Nistelrooy to get the job done and to start getting, like, when Ruud van Nistelrooy was brought in, everybody's saying, oh, Rashford is going to be banging him in. Hyland is going to be banging him in. And albeit he's been injured, Garnacho is going to be banging him in, so on and so forth. And it just hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened. So Ruud van Nistelrooy, for me, as manager of United, I don't think he's quite there yet. He may turn out to be a very good manager in the future, but as of now, I'm not for it, to be quite honest with you. And I think as well, if we're talking about an interim role, I'm not a fan of the interim manager. I really am not. I have to say, there are managers out there that you could go and get that, maybe are in jobs at the moment. You go and pay, and Manchester United comes calling. A lot of managers' heads would be turned. I think the interim role, when you're talking about a club like Manchester United, you could say the same about Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, whatever the case may be. If you put in an interim manager, the majority of players know, well, I'm going to outlast you anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't have to bother me bollocks if I don't agree with your tactics or your decision making or your setup or whatever the case may be. I just don't think it's a good idea. We spoke about Thomas Tuchel already. Gareth Southgate is the next one. And look, we heard from Gareth Southgate a couple of days ago. He said that he's not going to be coaching in the next 12 months. And I think every Manchester United fan just went, oh, thank God, because if he became the manager of Manchester United, it would be hard for me to continue to watch them. I won't lie. Next one is Michael Carrick. Now, we know how well Michael Carrick is doing at Middlesbrough. And he's been there for a couple of years now. Look, he's been at Manchester United for a hell of a long time. And again, when we're talking about Michael Carrick, I think very early in his managerial career, and I think to be taking the helm at Manchester United at such an early stage, I think is probably not the best idea, I would say. And if I was Michael Carrick, I would be saying, right, well, look, I'm learning my trade here. I'm in the Championship. The pressure is off me. There's not too many eyes on me. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing here. And, if the opportunity arises in another couple of years, then brilliant. You know what I mean? But for now, I think I'm happy where I am. That's what I would be saying. Anyway, if I was Michael Carrick. Get your comments in as well, guys. I'll go down through them in a moment. Ruben Amorim. So a lot of talk over the last week or so about this guy being linked with Manchester United. The sporting boss has been linked with Premier League jobs previously, most recently West Ham in the summer, having led Sporting to their first league title in 19 years in the 2020-2021 season, before winning it again last year. Again, look, I can't lie. I don't know an awful lot about this guy. Young manager, again, learning his trade at a slightly more pressure on being the Sporting manager than there would be the Middlesbrough manager when we're talking about Michael Carrick. But look, nonetheless, a young and upcoming manager. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on him. Edin Terzic is another one. Obviously, the Borussia Dortmund manager was in the Champions League final last season before leaving the club in the summer. Now, the thing about this guy is that he's a free agent, you know what I mean? And he's not managing and he's not coaching anywhere at the moment. So you wouldn't have to pay a fee if you were to get him out of his contract. Kieran McKenna, we spoke loads about him. Graham Potter, no thanks. Thomas Frank, I don't think we'll get it either. So look, I just wanted to touch on it a little bit. The rumor mill is still going around about Erik ten Hag. And, by no means is Erik ten Hag's job secure, even though he hasn't got sacked yet. The next bunch of games between now and the next international break are going to be vital for him. And I think if it goes wrong, I don't think there can be any more excuses by Ineos. I think they'll have to sack him. They just will. If we have another run of games like we did, the previous 3 or 4 weeks before this international break, Ten Hag will have to go. He would just have to. There'll be too much pressure. But again, like I said, while he's in place and while he's the manager, let's get behind him and hope Manchester United win. And hopefully he can turn it around. That's what I would say, more than anything else. Let's see what you guys are saying in the comment section. Let's scroll back here a little bit and see what you're saying. Dylan says, Tuchel joining us is okay, I guess, but it won't change us. Nobody can fix this mess. Only people that can is Ineos. Get all them players out. I disagree with that, to be honest with you. When you look at Steven Gerrard, for example, had Aston Villa in the relegation zone, and Unai Emery came in and he basically turned the same squad into a relegation battle to European qualification. So it can be done. And we don't have a bad squad. We don't have a bad squad at all. Laser says, evening, Jack. Hope you're good. A bit concerned and worried going into the Brentford game. Our home form has been poor, and I wouldn't be surprised if Brentford score their first goal in 10 seconds. Well, I hope not. Dylan also says, have any assistant managers that took charge of any club worked out? Ollie, Rude will just be the same. Well, Michael Carrick, I think, had 100% win rate as United manager. I think it was only for 3 or 4 games or something. Would you support Southgate? No, I wouldn't. I would support if he was put in as manager. I would highly contest it, and I wouldn't be any way supportive of it. But again, you know what I mean? I'd still shout for Man United. I mean, I wouldn't be not supporting them. Laser says, as a Bundesliga watcher along with the Prem, I wouldn't say no to a German manager. I personally like the Stuttgart coach. He's done a very good job for his 2 seasons there. Miguel says, in fairness to Rashford, he's looked a lot better this season so far. He certainly has. I'd love Xavi Alonso, he said as well. And look, I mean, Xavi Alonso is a fantastic coach. I don't know with the whole Liverpool connection, would he go for the Manchester United job? I don't know. You know, we can talk about all these names all we want, and Thomas Tuchel and, you know, Graham Potter and, you know, Xavi Alonso, whoever the case may be. They have to agree to come to Manchester United, you know, and that's the, you know, that's the big concern there as well. You know what I mean? Let me have a quick check here. Sorry, I just want to change my audio adjustment here because it keeps auto adjusting now. There we go. So yeah, let's see. Dylan says Potter is still one of the favorites. Dan Ashworth really likes him from his Brighton days. Miguel also says I'm stuck in between of missing United football and also enjoying not stressing out watching them. I know. It's kind of a, you know, it's you know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You know, it's so good not to be worried about losing a game, but also you miss the excitement of it as well. Let's see. Jock says, evening Jack, it's sad the way things have turned out, but just don't see a way out of it with Erik ten Hag. The players are just so bad this season. I can't disagree, Jock. Yep, I can't disagree. You know, we're talking about the eye test, and it doesn't lie this season. It really doesn't. We should have got Hansi Flick in the summer, a good manager. Look at what he's doing with Barca. We should have got him. I would reserve judgment on that at the moment because, look, doing well in La Liga, the Premier League is a different kettle of fish completely, and he'll be judged on what he does in the Champions League, getting to the latter stages of the season with them as well. So, people asking who would my ideal candidate be. To be honest, there's not an ideal candidate. You know, like, I like a little bit of a lot of managers. I like Thomas Tuchel. I have to say, I like his demeanor. He doesn't take any nonsense. He's a strong alpha male kind of coach where he won't take any nonsense from players. And I think that's very important. And I think he's got the shoulders to carry the role of being Manchester United manager. And, you know, he's won leagues in the past. He's won the Champions League. All of these are very good tick boxes for the likes of Thomas Tuchel. You know, I like the you know, the talk of, like, Xavi Alonso would be fantastic, even with these Liverpool connections. So I don't think there's an ideal candidate. I mean, the Sporting Lisbon manager, again, is doing great things there for a young coach. So I don't think there's an out and out ideal candidate. But again, I mean, there's guys getting paid a hell of a lot more money to make these decisions at Manchester United. So it'll be up to them to make the right call, you know. And if they don't, then the pressure will start to come on them, you know, because you're seeing a little bit of the fan base kind of going, well, what's going on? And these are a lot of the, you know, the louder, you know, less, what's the word? Less patient, let's say that, side of the fan base, who are, you know, Erik, he has to go now. And because he hasn't gone, you know, they're turning their back on Ineos a little bit, calling Ineos frauds. That Saeed TV, for example, he fucking boils my blood. So he does, on how negative he is around everything, you know. So yeah, I mean, I suppose they're in a kind of a honeymoon period at the moment, Ineos are, and they've got a couple of decisions that they have to get right before the attention switches to them. Because if they get the first few decisions wrong, you know, we've got what we all think is some good signings in this summer. If they don't get it right long term and they maybe appoint the wrong manager or, you know, they sign the wrong players, the pressure will come. It really, really will. So, yeah. Let's see what happens. Anyway, guys, want to move it on. Want to talk a little bit about the future now that we're talking about Ineos, on what Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to do. No more, he says. Jim Ratcliffe has seen enough. Man United now making a big change, says Romano. And this is not actually to do with the manager. It has to do with recruitment going forward. And we'll go straight down to Fabrizio was speaking on his YouTube channel today, and he says this summer, we'll go down through it here. He said this summer, we saw signings like Lenny Yoro, Joshua Zirkzee, Mamadou Ugarte. So United are very busy with signing important names, but also United started signing two special talents. One is Sekou Kone from Mali, a midfielder born in 2006, and the other one is Chido Obi Martin, who decided to leave Arsenal to join Manchester United. Remember these two signings, he says, not just them, because the indication he's getting is that Ineos really want to build something for the future in terms of signing talents who are maybe not ready immediately for the first team. Obi Martin will take time before we see having his debut in a Manchester United shirt. The same with Sekou Kone. He's not ready, but the potential is huge. The value in the deal is what made Manchester United decide, okay, let's go for this player. Man United in the past, before this new era with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, were missing on many opportunities with the scouting side telling the board to sign players, but Man United decided to go with a different investment. Moises Caicedo, when he was a kid, and many others who had a chance to join Manchester United but ended up joining other clubs. With Ineos, this won't happen again. This is the message of the club. They want to sign talents with potential like Obi Martin, Sekou Kone. Manchester United is already working on more signings like this. And this is really, really, really positive news. Really positive news, it has to be said. And, you know, we've been talking about this, haven't we, we've been saying this ever since we're talking about it nearly 12 months now. We're coming up on 12 months since we found out that Jim Ratcliffe was going to be the new owner of Manchester United. And we were talking about, you know, the new regime at United and what we wanted to see in the transfer window. And what we want to see is, and we spoke about, you know, this goes all the way back to Ralph Rangnick, talking about getting young players in under the radar that are on their first or second professional contracts. You know what I mean? And we've got that already this summer with the likes of Obi Martin and with the likes of Sekou Kone. Huge, huge talents that you would hope are bringing them in. You would hope you're bringing them into an environment that will allow them to flourish. And there is a pathway there into that first team. There really, really is. You know, we've seen it with the likes of Garnacho. We've seen it with the likes of Kobbie Mainoo. We've seen it with the likes of Harry Amas now that's probably going to get, you know, a lot of game time. Toby Collier is another one. Ahmad, for example, has gone a slightly different route, but is there now. These are all really, really good opportunities for United. And I think, don't get me wrong, you will still have to go and get them, get them signings like your Matthias de Ligt or your Mamadou Ugarte and so on and so forth. But you have to be getting them young, hungry talents in. Now, it will take 2 or 3 years to see the fruits of that labor, because, you know, if you're getting in Obi Martin and, you know, Sekou Kone this year, and they're not ready for 2 years, you know, but next year you do the same with 2 players, 3 players, and the year after you do the same with 2 or 3 players, then all of a sudden, 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, 5 years in a row, 6 years in a row, every year then you're getting these new hungry talents, you know, coming straight into that first team, and it's refreshing, and it's keeping, you know, it's keeping the waters flowing. No one is getting stagnant. Everyone has to be on their toes. And that's what you want, without costing the club a complete fortune as well. You know, in the past, we've waited for the likes of Obi Martin or the likes of Sekou Kone to be worth 70 million before we'd even look at them. We're getting them in now under the radar as young talents that are hungry, that want to succeed and thrive. And that's the way it should be. That really, really is the way it should be. And long may it continue. Long may it continue. Let's see. Jock says, have you seen some of the news around Alvaro Fernandez? What's your thoughts on that? I'm going to get into that in a moment. Jock, I've got it here. We're going to speak about it in a few minutes. He's not the only former Manchester United player that's getting linked with United as well. Miguel says, I mean, we've always trusted the youth players and brought up to the first team. Exactly. It's been going on for 100 years nearly at Manchester United. Manchester United, the foundation of Manchester United has been built around youth, and you know, the Busby Babes, the class of 92, so on and so forth. And, you know, they're just two, you know, wider, you know, scales of what Manchester United like to do. But, you know, you've got players all the time coming through. Menu, Garnacho, Amas. You go back to, you know, the Lingards, the Pogbas, the Rashfords. You know, it's happened all the way through. And, you know, long may that continue. You know, long may it continue. And it will continue. Of course it will. Laser says, that sounds exactly like when we had Ollie. He wanted Haaland and Bellingham when they were kids, and with Woodward and Murta in charge at the time, they were too stubborn to make the sensible opinion. There you go. Dylan says, talking about transfers, I think we should buy from smaller clubs. Look at Liverpool buying from Roma, Southampton, teams like that. Well, that all depends on where the players are. You know what I mean? If you buy from a lower club, you tend to get them cheaper, you know, and that's exactly what we're talking about now with Ten Hag. Right, moving it on. Jock just asked there about Alvaro Fernandez, and to bring everybody up to speed on it, Manchester United can sign the left back linked with Barcelona and Real Madrid for 20 million euro. So he's gone to Benfica. He's been doing really well there. He's played a really an awful lot of games consecutively for Benfica. Has been basically a mainstay there. Alvaro Carreras, yeah, I always thought it was Alvaro Fernandez, but he's obviously I don't know, whatever. Has made an inspired start to the season, locking down a starting spot in Lisbon. The Spanish youth international only left Manchester United permanently this past summer, but already is being linked with a move to a top club. Barcelona and Real Madrid are watching the 21-year-old, while Liverpool, Juventus and Atletico Madrid have also had a look at Carreras of late. The strongest links have been for a return to Manchester United, who he left for 6 million following a loan spell last season. Now, Record have revealed that their buyback option is worth just 20 million euro, a more than reasonable fee for a promising left back of that age. A move to Real Madrid seems unlikely, with Alphonso Davies likely to arrive next summer. Meanwhile, Atletico Madrid are also well stocked in that department. Barcelona may well be a more likely destination, but financially will struggle to compete with United. Anyway, what are we thinking about this? I don't see much in it, if I'm being 100% honest with you. I haven't seen an awful lot of them. I've seen what the majority of you guys have seen, and that is, you know, small roles for him and performances. And the majority of the time we've seen him has been in pre-season, hasn't it? Yeah, I don't really know what to make of it, to be quite honest with you, because I think if you go out and reset now, look, first and foremost, let me say that we need we need a left back, and we need one pretty soon. But I think, I mean, I think going out and signing a young player who has just left the club, you know, he left 3 months ago. You know what I mean? Now, we do know he was on loan, obviously, for a year before that. But what's really going to happen with this guy? And first and foremost, we have to say here, we might have a 20 million euro buyback option. You know, he still has to agree to sign for Manchester United. You know what I mean? He can't be, just because we triggered a buyback option, doesn't mean he has to sign for us. You know, he can go, I'm not going back to Manchester. Barcelona are in, I want to go to them. You know, and then there's negotiations going on between the two clubs. I don't really see this happening. I think if he did come back to Manchester United, would it be as the first choice starting left back? Probably not. So he's going to say, I'm playing all of the time here with Benfica. I'm 21 years of age. Why would I go back to play in maybe a rotational role or a squad role at Manchester United? I don't see it happening, to be quite honest with you. I really, really don't. I hope he does continue to thrive. Manchester United do have this 20 million euro buyback option for 2 seasons. So we've got it next summer, and then we've got it for, I think, until the 1st of July, the summer after, so 2026. So there's plenty of time if we do want to go back in for Alvaro Fernandez or Alvaro Carreras, whatever he's going by now. And I don't really see it happening, to be quite honest with you. I think we will go for an established left back next summer. I think it's vital that we do, especially with Luke Shaw continuing to get the injuries that he's getting, and Malacia isn't the number one choice, and he probably won't be, but a very good backup nonetheless. Another player who's been linked with Manchester United, a return to Manchester United, has been Angel Gomez. I always say Angel, but it's not. It's Angel Gomez. And Man United can re-sign the Lille midfielder in a bargain deal next summer. He will be free because his contract is up. Manchester United spent more than 108 million. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Where are we going? Gomez left the Red Devils for Lille on the Bosman deal 4 years ago, and he has since progressed into one of the most sought-after midfielders in League One. The 24-year-old can play as a defensive, central, or attacking midfielder, and showed his class for England in the Nations League last night. The Red Devils' guarantee was sensational again. What? Blah, 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 blah. Gomez's current deal with Lille expires in June 2025, and United will have the option to discuss a pre-contract over a free transfer at the turn of the year. It appears a no-brainer decision to sign him, given he is just entering the prime of his career and will be a huge bargain acquisition for a no transfer fee. Gomez has already opened the door for an amazing reunion, but will ask for big wages. He earns 11,400 per week, but will probably ask for 100 grand and a hefty signing on fee to return to Old Trafford. I don't see this happening either, to be quite honest with you. Look, I mean, he's the talk of the town at the moment, given the fact that he's played a couple of games for England. You know what I mean? Again, he would probably come back and be a rotational player, a squad player. Are you going to give 100 grand to a player like that? I don't think so. I honestly don't. And as well, the one thing I would say is his stature. He's so small. He's so small. And you might get away with that in Ligue 1 in France, but you're not getting away with that in the Premier League, I'm afraid. You're just not. I don't see it happening. I honestly don't see it happening. Let's see what people are saying. Jock says 16.5 million buyback clause. Barca and Madrid are trying to get him, and he has been doing great for Benfica. For left back, I'd love Kirkes from Bournemouth, says Dylan. Well, we have been linked with him already. So we have. Now, let's talk about the weekend, guys. And we've got a game coming up, and I will be doing my match preview on Thursday. So keep an eye out for that as well. We are doing episode 2 of the Ultimate Manchester United quiz on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. So it's for official channel members only. So if you're not an official channel member, link is in the description of the video. Go join. That live will be for members only, not just subscribers, members. Push the button underneath it. So yeah, make sure you're tuning in for that as well, guys. But yeah, let's talk about the weekend, and let's talk about, what Ten Hag could potentially do. I don't know why there's a picture of an Aston Villa player in this article, but Erik Ten Hag could play Johnny Evans at left back amid Manchester United's defensive injury crisis. So obviously we know that, left back is a big area of concern at the moment, with Luke Shaw being out for another God knows how long, and Malacia is not going to be returning anytime soon either. And of course, we know that Mazraoui had a minor heart operation in relation to some fluttering, maybe, or what, I don't know what the word is, palpitations. I think maybe he was having a small little corrective surgery that he needed, but he's not expected to be out overly long. We'll talk about him in a few minutes, but Ten Hag could play Johnny Evans at left back amidst Manchester United's defensive injury crisis. Now, this is where we are at the moment, isn't it? This is a new chair, Miguel. Yeah, the other one broke, so I had to get a new chair. It's very, very comfortable, almost too comfortable. It's got a footrest and everything on it. I can't really stretch it out here, but yeah, it's a new chair. Anyway, let's talk about left back. I mean, a lot of people are going to be saying now, where's Harry Amas? Give Harry Amas a chance to play. And look, we've heard over the last few weeks that basically the word coming out of United is Amas is not ready yet physically to be playing in the Premier League. And that's completely understandable. He's 18 years of age. He's not going to be ready in that short period of time. And you do not want to be putting a young lad like Harry Amas, with all of his talent and all of his potential more than anything else, into the limelight where he can be criticised and, scrutinised and so on and so forth. Let him do what he's doing. I don't even think he's 18, is he? Let's have a look. Harry Amas. He is 17. Yeah, he's not 18 until next March. So give him time. Let him play in the youths. Let him get football. Let him learn his trade. And maybe get him in then for a Carabao Cup game or a first round of an FA Cup, or, spring him off the bench, maybe in around Christmas when we're 3-0 up, hopefully, which right now doesn't look like we'll ever be. But it looks like Johnny Evans could potentially be playing at left back. Now, there are other options there. Lisandro Martinez has played at left back before for us, albeit not well, and that's the concern about that one. But again, look, it's a concern. It is a concern. Left back is a big area of concern long term for Manchester United. We spoke about it a few minutes ago. I think United are going to go heavy in the transfer market. We were talking about Kirkes there from Bournemouth. United have been linked with him, and also of Robinson from Fulham, and United could potentially go for some of them in January. Now, if we go for some of them players in January, it is likely that we will have to sell players in January, which is never easy. It's never easy to buy or sell in January. But one of the players is Anthony. United to let Anthony leave the club in January, and 2 Premier League clubs are prepared to offer him an exit route as United decide to cut their losses. They're finally ready to part ways with Anthony towards the end of his. There's so much rubbish in some of these articles. Where are we? Now, so should he decide that he absolutely wants to continue in England's top flight, Anthony does reportedly have 2 suitors waiting to open negotiations. According to Call Offside, Newcastle United and Crystal Palace are set on bolstering their attacks in the window and have identified the outcast Red as a candidate to do so. Look, I mean, Man United are going to take, regardless of where he goes or who he signs for or whether he leaves, United are going to take a massive loss on Anthony when he eventually does leave. I think that is 100% certain. And it's a big shame. We overspent for him. It was the old regime, so there's nothing we can do about that now. Just be thankful that we've got better, newer, up-to-date owners at the moment that wouldn't sanction something like this. But I mean, we've already seen Anthony's game time limited this season. Amas has jumped the queue for him. Ahead of him, obviously, Garnacho and Rashford are there as well. And even I think on that right-hand side, I think, if everybody is fit, I think he would probably go with Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes there. You know what I mean? So, look, I think Anthony's time, depending on whether he wants to leave United or not, but I think it's coming to an end. And I think the sooner the better, to be honest with you. He's had enough opportunity now. He's had 2 very, very poor seasons. And, the return that we're getting is just non-existent. So, we are going to have to look to sell players in January if we want to go out and buy. Now, look, if we're talking about, potentially Crystal Palace looking at bringing in Anthony, then we do know Manchester United are big admirers of Eze of Crystal Palace. Is there a deal that could potentially be done there? That, obviously remains to be seen. I think United, with something like Eze, United would probably go back for him in the summer. I don't know if you could do a swap deal, player plus cash for Eze. They tend to get quite complicated, don't they? And we've seen over the summer that, there were a couple of times where we were talking about that being, a potential transfer, with Sancho going to PSG and Ugarte coming the other way. And, maybe Sancho going to, someone was linked with Bayern Munich for us to get De Ligt and, so on and so forth. And they tend not to happen, So, I think Anthony will leave. If not in January, I think he'll be gone in the summer. But I think the sooner he does leave, the better, to be quite honest with you. Getting on to players that are already here, and United have reports today have suggested that United are set to trigger the 1-year contract extension for Amad Diallo and Harry Maguire. Now, for two completely different reasons here, I reckon. Again, there's been reports over the last couple of days suggesting that United are happy to offload Harry Maguire in January as well. Now, you would hope that the likes of Lenny Yoro will be back to full strength by then. And, you could potentially look at letting Harry Maguire go, and you would have sufficient cover there, with De Ligt, Martinez, Yaro, Evans, Lindelof, even if he's probably going to stay and go on a free next summer. So I think United are open for it. Now, the reason why United are going to trigger their extensions for Harry Maguire specifically is so we can sell him and that he doesn't leave on a free in the summer. But again, it's up to Harry Maguire. If United pull the trigger and extend his contract by that 1 year that they're entitled to do, equally Harry Maguire is just as entitled to go, okay, brilliant, stay for another year and I'll leave on a free, in 2026. And that's the concern. But I think, from a playing standpoint, if he wants to get game time and he wants to potentially get back into the England squad, he has to go and play somewhere. He really, really does. But Amad, on the other hand, guys, Amad is one that United are trying to protect the asset with. If we don't trigger his 1-year extension, he's open to negotiating with clubs from January onwards if he does want to leave United, and then he would leave for a free in the summer. So I think United are going to trigger his contract 1-year extension, so it'll give us a little bit of time to negotiate a new deal with him between now and maybe next summer. And I think that is something that United will do, given how well he's performed for us at the end of last season and into this season as well. He's looked like he's going in the right direction. He's got a long way to go. He has got a long way to go, 100%. But I think it's a statement of intent by United getting him tied down to a new deal. A couple of final little things just to clarify before we finish, guys. Obviously, some injury news in relation to the weekend. Mazraoui, obviously, we mentioned it already, had a procedure, and reports today are saying that he is unlikely to spend a lengthy period of time on the sidelines following heart surgery. United are only 7 Premier League, blah, blah, blah. Club sources have said Mazraoui's corrective heart procedure is thankfully not alarming, and he is expected to be available within 3 weeks, which is good news. It is good news. So, yeah, no real major concerns there with him. Obviously, we're just going to have to hunker down and shore up that left-back position until he is available again, because we basically got nobody there. And also, guys, as well, this is a little bit more concerning. Man United sweating over striker injury after international training absence. So Rasmus Højlund sat out of training today in the lead up to Denmark's game. I think, are they playing tomorrow or whatever the case may be? We'll go through it real quick. United have been left sweating over the fitness of Rasmus Højlund after he was kept out of Denmark training yesterday on Sunday. He suffered a hamstring injury in pre-season, which kept him out of action, with the striker managing 5 appearances. He was handed just 12 minutes off the bench as Denmark fell to a 1-0 defeat against Spain. And now Bold have revealed that Højlund was kept out of team training on Sunday. There has been no formal explanation for his absence, with many speculating that it could simply be precautionary after his extended spell on the sidelines. But the fact Højlund was handed a break after such a short outing against Spain will undoubtedly cause concern at Old Trafford. So, look, a lot of speculation in it, and more will come out in the coming days, obviously, once players start to return from international duty. We need Rasmus Højlund back, and we need him back as quickly as possible, though. That in itself is absolutely certain. It really is. Let's see what people are saying here. Dylan says, we all know Martinez is playing left back. Miguel says, how would you feel about playing with a back three? I wouldn't be against it, to be honest with you. I don't think Ten Hag will do it, to be honest, because he's never really done it before at United. And we're struggling to play 4-3-3, which is the same formation we've played now for 2 years under Ten Hag. So I think changing it now and giving them some new instructions will just make them go, overload the midfield. Yeah, I agree. I honestly keep Maguire and get rid of Lindelof. Maguire has been quite good recently. Well, see, the thing about it is, Dylan, this goes back to what we've said in the summer. Maguire is one that you can get money for. You won't get any money for Lindelof because he's going on a free next summer. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the problem. Finn says, we should have already sent Anthony out on loan to somewhere like France and pray he hits a bit of form, then sell. Absolutely. Kieran is in. He says, hi. And David says, is Rasmus injured? No word on it yet. He sat out training. But there's been no real confirmation of it. But like I said, David, we'll know more as the days go on, and when players start returning to Carrington after international break, we'll know as we do the lives throughout the week. So, guys, look, really appreciate you watching. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already. Like I said, episode 2 of the Ultimate Manchester United quiz is back on Wednesday night for members only. Make sure you're joining as an official channel member down below if you do want to get involved in that. It's for members only, so it won't be available to the masses, as they say, if you do want to join, and it helps the channel out. Loads more benefits there as well, guys, so go check it out. Support the channel an awful lot. Appreciate you watching, guys. I'll be back again tomorrow night for a live. Might be a little bit later depending on I've got training myself with my own team, so depending on what time that finishes. So it'll either be 9 or we might do a little bit later at 10 o'clock. But I appreciate you watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe, follow us on all the channels as well: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Make sure you're following them all. Links are all in the description below. Have a great night. See you tomorrow. Take it easy. Good luck.